Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global Industry Spotlight. My name is Daniel Crane, and I am the Program Director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. Uh, every Thursday, we stream live out of the Comcast Business Startup Studio and talk to different organizations, entrepreneurs, small businesses about their journey, what they're working on, what are some of the tips they have for entrepreneurs out there, and generally learning about the creative industry ecosystem globally. Um, we are located here in Chicago at 2112, Chicago's first music, film, and tech incubator. Today's Global Industry Spotlight is on Félix Barros Ribalta, a serial entrepreneur working since 2011 in innovation and associativity for the music industry. Founder of Evento Medido, Measurevent, impact measurement and sustainability analytics for events, president of MUSTACH, Music Tech Association Chile, co-founder and former secretary of IMUVA, Association of the Music Industry of the Region of Valparaíso, and content director of VAM Hub Musical Music Conferences. Also artist incubation and acceleration director at Probeta Music. I'm really excited to invite my guest in today, Felix. Hi, Felix.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Felix and I met at California, which is a wonderful music tech event that happens in Belgium. I got to learn about his work. And full disclosure, it's great to connect with somebody who is a musician, who has kind of, worked in different aspects in the music industry, right? As someone like myself who also started playing music, and then you kind of learn, okay, I'm interested in this space and this space. It's great to see the industry being shifted by people who are actually in it. And Felix has a lot of really exciting things. So Felix, if you could just talk a little bit about your background in Chile, and just the transformation from musician to then kind of learning about shows and bringing people together through technology, and then the measurement and et cetera.
Sure. Well, I started as most people that work in this industry just by being passionate about music. I started playing the guitar around 12 years old, I think. So then I created a few bands. I had a power metal band. I was a big fan of Finnish metal. And one of my dreams actually was to move to Helsinki to be part of the power metal scene. But then I started to think about my future, and what will my future look like? What should be my career option? And I thought that music. I love music. I thought a lot about studying music, but I thought that it would be smarter to study something that I both love and I'm talented at, and I can make money from. So
Right.
uh, that's why I discovered this very unique career that it's called product design engineering. It was something new here in Chile. It's not very popular anywhere. I think there are very few uh, product design engineering schools in the world, but it's very interesting because it mixes like creativity with engineering and technical skills. And I love the idea of learning how to create my own concepts, products, and services. So my original plan was to study something that I could make money from, and then once I have the money and a little more time, come back to the music. So I started this career. I was a very good student while I was there, um, but I didn't have any time to keep playing. It was a very demanding engineering school, so I had to drop music for a few years. And then when I graduated, I saw it as an opportunity to mix all my passions and create a music tech startup. So I had the skills to develop a product, and I also knew about the needs from musicians and bands. So that's how I started my first company, Sonic Pollen. It was like a matching platform for artists and venues or festivals. So maybe like Sonic Beats,
Right.
or some of the features from Reverb Nation, maybe. Because I mean, the main purpose of it all was to bring more opportunities to the artists. Like all of the people that are in the music industry, uh, they also always see a lot of talent everywhere that is not reaching the market, and that they don't know how to develop their careers or connect with performing opportunities. So that's how it started.
And in Chile, what is the music industry like? Are Chilean artists, you have your local scenes, and are people trying to move to bigger cities? Are they looking to tour in different places in South America? What are some of the trajectories for artists in Chile?
Yes, we have small local scenes. I always say that, for instance, Valparaíso is an artist city, not an audience city, because we have a
Mm,
few iconic music cities in Chile, like Valparaíso, then Concepción in the south. It's like the capital of rock. But I feel like Concepcion is the capital of audiences. Like we have a lot of people going to the shows, but in Valparaiso, everyone is an artist. So you don't have any audience because everyone is performing.
right, right. It's a creation space, right?
Yeah. Valparaiso is like a creative lab, and a lot
Hmm.
of different cultures mixed there because it's a harbor, and it's been for like it was the most important harbor in the Pacific Ocean with San Francisco.
Right.
So a lot of exchange. It was the first place where rock music entered Chile. So it's very difficult to develop a market for your project, for your music. So most musicians that want to live out of music, they first migrate to Santiago, to the capital.
Hmm.
But for most Chilean musicians, there's like this Mexican dream. Like, it's not the American dream, but the Mexican dream.
Okay.
uh, so the biggest names in Chilean music have developed their careers using Mexico as a hub, because Mexico has a very big market, and then you can also connect with the American market. So it's like the development hub for Chilean musicians. We don't have any like super big name like Shakira or Juanes or Maluma,
Hmm.
but I think that's going to happen very soon, probably with the trap scene. The trap scene right now in Chile is very popular. Some trap artists are growing a lot, and that's interesting to watch.
And so you developed this tool, your first tool, for supporting the local musicians in Chile, and then I'm let's fast forward to Evento Medido, which I think is such a huge need globally. Can you talk about how you started that, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah. So what I do now, Evento Medido is the Spanish speaking brand, but Measurevent for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So it's the result of many pivots after Sonic Pollen, because with Sonic Pollen, we had like the chicken and the egg problem. You needed venues and event producers that were demanding artists and then the artists. But what happened was that we had like 1,500 artists, but like 10 venues or producers. And the platform became just like another tool through um, the producers were spammed. So they were getting requests from artists by email, and they were knocking their doors and leaving a demo tape or whatever.
Right.
And this was another way for them to get spammed by the artists. So We did a few pivots. We did an experiment where people were voting what band they wanted to see in the venue or in the city, and then we tracked how many of the people that voted actually um, attended the show, and we made some conversion rates because in the end, at least for venues, the main goal was to sell more beers. So we were helping them to pick the artist that would sell more beers. So
I mean that it's I love it you say that because that's a global phenomenon. I have packed, I used to book for a venue downtown Chicago, and I would book a house music crowd. And house music crowd doesn't drink. They don't drink. They just like to dance. So even though the event would be packed, their beer drinking capabilities were very low. Whereas like if I booked, like a jam band or a hippie group or whatever, they would drink a lot more. So I always think that like globally, all venues are like, okay, great. Are you going to bring people? And yes, how much are they going to drink? So.
yeah, that's right. So, but anyway, the kind of cases where you could use this sort of system where people had to vote, like it was a long journey, a long funnel uh, to finally have the event with the artist and everything. So it wasn't something that you could use like for every event. So we thought that it wasn't very scalable. But we presented this solution in a music conference in Chile. I'm talking probably about 2013. And a lot of record labels and event producers approached us because they were interested in the kind of analytics that we were getting from the events. Like we knew why were people coming to the events, like which band are they fans, because sometimes you have an event and you split the revenue from the tickets in equal parts, but probably there was like one band that brought 70% of the people, but
Right.
you don't know. And then what happens with the audience? Are they happy about the event? Did they enjoy the venue, the sound, etc.? And is it the first time that they are coming to the venue, or they are like very loyal to the venue or very loyal to the artist? So when that happened, we decided to pivot and create a concert discovery app that was like the second company, Fanier. So it was like Bands in Town or Songkick, but
Right.
those apps weren't very popular here. And if you checked the concert listing, probably you would find like only 10% of what was actually going on. So we developed a similar app, but we improved the experience. It was more like a Foursquare for music shows, like
Mm-hmm.
more gamified, more interactive, with very detailed information about the shows. So we try to engage music fans so that we can get information about where they were going, what bands they are following, what's their feedback about the event. But in the end, the goal was to get this analytics and bring this analytics to the producers, the record labels, so that they can make better decisions and improve the investment in live music and improving their returns. So we are always keeping this purpose of uh, providing a solution that will be beneficial for the sustainability of the music ecosystem. But with this app, when you want to position a B2C app where you need to reach like the end customer, you need a very high investment on marketing.
Right.
If you don't have like hundreds of thousands or millions of users, it's impossible to monetize that app. So that's when we switched into a B2B model. We realized that we had 4 or 5 times more events in our database than what the Ministry of Culture of Chile was saying that was like the annual number of shows in Chile. So we thought that we had valuable information about the industry and that we could sell this information and create reports and diagnosis and map what's happening with the music industry and the entertainment industry in Chile. So that was our pivot into the market research field. Uh, we did some reports for Valparaíso when we were applying Valparaíso to the Creative Cities Network from UNESCO. So for example, we created heat maps where you could see like where in the city is the rock scene, then the punk scene, the jazz scene, etc. The ticket prices, the share of local acts versus international or national acts, and a lot of very valuable information that was very helpful to argue this idea that Valparaiso was already a music city. And then we started we uh, we used a lot the reference of the Wish You Were Here report from the UK. It's a report that measures the impact of music tourism
Yep, I
in
read that.
the
It's a great report.
yeah in the economy of the United Kingdom. So we realized that since they started measuring, they realized that this was a huge industry, like music tourism. Just by measuring it, like a new industry was created. Okay, music tourism, this is something.
Right.
So that's when they started creating new policies, investing in music tourism or in the music ecosystem. And we said, okay, we can do this. We can measure the impact of music and live music. And that's when we did our first prototype. We measured the impact of Rocódromo. It's a rock festival in Valparaíso, the biggest rock festival. Um, and that was very interesting because we did our first measurement and it went kind of viral in niche media, in music media, but also in newspapers, because it was a new narrative. It wasn't talking about like, okay, the headliner did a great show, or the neighbors are angry because of the noise or whatever. It was, okay, this festival is bringing all of this money into the local economy and it's boosting tourism. So we did an infographic. That was our first product. And we kept going from there. We developed a triple impact measurement methodology with a university here in Valparaiso. So then it wasn't only like economic or touristic impact, but also environmental impact, the carbon footprint of the event, social, cultural impact. Is this event like helping the local people to access culture, or bringing communities that are not normally invited to this kind of activities?
Right.
So yeah.
And so just to kind of go backwards a little bit, what I think is important for, entrepreneurs out there, and, what Felix is talking about is, this is your third company, right? But at the same time, there was a common thread that was kind of happening throughout the other two companies, which is this understanding of the power of data, of collecting information and what you can use that for. Can you talk about what were some of the big lessons that you learned? I mean, obviously you went to a product development school, so you had some basis, but just from launching those first two companies, what were some of the things, like maybe one or two things from each that you learned that kind of helped build into, Measurevent?
Well, the first thing what was everything that happened once we started measuring the conversions of the artists with Sonic Pollen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think in the process, in the end, what we really wanted was to provide better opportunities for artists. And what we realized was that if you helped the whole industry to kind of get more funding or protect the
Mm,
funding that is going into culture and arts, then um, we could create more opportunities for the artists. Um, so
yeah, and
that is,
that's the
yeah,
same thing here as well. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but of how do you provide, you know, value to governments and to agencies to say music tourism brings X amount of dollars, you know, culturally supports this, has this kind of social impact. I think for most organizations now, and this is why I'm so excited about your organization, is that they want data, they want numbers. They want measurable things that they can look at. Not that, well, you know, people looked happy or it went well because we had X amount of people, but you know, looking at the you know, the diversity of the people that are coming, you know, the sustainability impact, the environmental impact, how much money is it bringing, like being able to measure all three of these things, I think is well, congratulations to you. I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea. And you know, what for you, so why Europe? Why are you moving to Europe and you feel like that's a great place to set up the company?
yeah. Just to uh, wrap up the previous idea,
Hmm.
I think that one of the things that was like an aha moment was when we did this first measurement of a festival, and we realized what's the use of this data. So the main use that our customers use the data for is getting funding,
Right.
because they need to, depending on who is funding the festival or the activity, it's different the kind of indicators that they need. Because okay, if it's the Chamber of Tourism, of course you need to validate that you're having an impact on local tourism. But then if it's the Ministry of Culture, you have to show that you're boosting the access to culture and showing different kind of artistic expressions. uh, so that's what we realized. This was a tool for fundraising, but also something that was very, that kind of shocked me in that moment. It's like, this is a tool for political shielding, because and this happens everywhere. Like, you have a governor that creates a program or a festival, and they have like great results, but then you have a new governor from the other political side, and they want to just tear down everything that's coming from the previous administration. And the only way for these projects to move on and survive these transitions is to have solid KPIs to show that they are actually a positive investment, that the return on investment is good in terms of the KPIs that are related to the goals of that project. So if it has a good impact on local tourism or boosting culture or whatever, but you have those KPIs, you can protect the funding that is going to culture. And sometimes they want to just tear down these activities to allocate this money into other activities. So that's something that felt good for us when we started literally saving some festivals from disappearing, and actually improving and growing their funding. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's massive, and and like you said, that happens everywhere. I mean, uh, you know, you get new people who are in charge who want to kind of put their stamp on things or do something different, to be able to share with them, you know, how an event or a festival is impacting, you know, their surroundings is such an important tool, and is such an important tool. And the fundraising, to keep, you know, supporting music and culture, you know, it's really great to have these kinds of stats and information handy. um so I asked you before you answered. I was like, so you're moving to Europe, you're moving to Helsinki, secretly to practice your metal guitar and join a Finnish a metal band. But why? So talk about why you're moving to Europe, who you're going to be working for, which I think is really interesting, and then kind of your plan for Measurevent.
Sure. Well, since maybe 4 years now, I have been advising Neural DSP. It's a Finnish company, but founded by Chileans. Um, they develop software and hardware for guitar and bass players mostly. So they have like the most advanced technology right now on the planet to use neural networks to capture the sound of physical devices. So you can kind of scan an amplifier or an effect and turn it into a piece of software or a plugin that you can use. So they have plugins and also floor modelers or multi-effect units where you can have like your whole chain of amplifiers, effects, etc., just in this device. So they are growing really fast. I worked in their offices for 3 months last year just to see if I could adapt there. I was thinking about moving to Europe already, so I'm gonna be joining them as a part-time business development manager while I also open Measurevent in Europe. So, well, that's why I'm gonna move to Helsinki. But most importantly, I think that Europe is the market in the world that has more awareness about the importance of sustainability for the event industry. So most of the campaigns and pledges and standards are coming from the UK right now. I think we are a little bit um, how to say it, uh, the market here in Chile and Latin America isn't very aware yet about why they need this kind of impact measurements or KPIs or what's their use. So we have to do a big effort here to educate about this and even teach the concept of an impact measurement. So in Europe, it's a little bit easier because they are already seeing this as a need, and there isn't yet like a standard tool or a positioned service to solve this need. So there are a few projects popping up somewhere, but we are kind of the first probably to integrate the triple impact measurement, because most tools that are being created right now are focusing only on the carbon footprint. They provide calculators, but what we do is do all the data leverage to provide the triple impact report, and not only the KPI, but the dashboard, the infographics that you use for PR, and the full report with kind of the storytelling of the impact of the event.
Yeah, and this was something that became very apparent to me in attending California. There are not really a lot of discussions here in the U.S. or in Chicago. I mean, maybe there's some in California. I mean, it's starting to happen, right? There are people who are like Muse, which I signed up for. There's organizations starting, but the importance it's not a front conversation. So, but I think it's coming regardless, right? This is, I think the hope for me and for us is that people are measuring sustainability, but also social impact. I mean, the triple measurement is, everyone wants to know economic impact. That one's an easy sell. But in terms of the other two and why they're important, it was great for me to hear at California the talk about sustainability. What are some of the efforts being put in Britain? What are some of the things that are going wrong? Like, hearing about how people weren't allowed to plug into the grid, but instead had to burn, tons and tons of diesel fuel to be able to power a festival. Even the technology of you talking about, hey, like this neural, the software takes up less of a footprint than an amplifier. I mean, even that on a small scale, and being able to look at that is I think really interesting and important. I remember I forgot his name, but the kind of stage hand or the head and producer engineer was talking about how everyone's music setups are so, they have like so many keyboards and it's just like really heavy on tech, and how it pulls a lot of power, and how we could think about designing or creating instruments that pull less power. So it's really interesting to think about that. And I think for our own work, here in Chicago, there's definitely a need to kind of focus on all of those things. Well, Felix, I really feel privileged to have met you in California, and now to kind of hear about your work, learn about Measurevent. Again, I'm going to put it below for everyone. Check out what Felix is building. I think it's quite extraordinary and something that people should keep an eye on. I know I definitely want to be involved. Here is kind of a Chicago U.S. ambassador pushing this kind of technology and impact reporting for everything. I think there's a huge opportunity space here for that, especially when to get these kind of reports, you usually have to hire massive consulting firms that cost tons of money, and most
And
organizations,
takes a lot of time.
yeah, it takes a lot of time, and most organizations just don't have the bandwidth for that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity. Well, thank you again, for joining us today, Felix. Best of luck in your transition to Helsinki. That sounds very exciting. I hope that you and I can, hang again at some point and be watching some music. And California was so much fun, and it was great to meet you. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll meet for sure sooner than later, and I hope that we can do something in Chicago.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Felix.
Thanks.
Well, that was an extraordinary conversation with Félix Barros, who is the founder of Measurevent. Definitely, I would say he is on the frontier of a new type of reporting that will, support the music ecosystem as a whole, with showing the value that music tourism and music festivals bring, but also being able to measure the social impact and the environmental impact that these things have. All very important as we're building a better future for ourselves and for our children. So again, check out measurevent.org. I'm putting it below and see what he's doing. Again, my name is Daniel Crane, and I am the program director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. And this was another Global Industry Spotlight, a conversational series focused on providing insights about entrepreneurs, small businesses, organizations, hearing what they are working on, what are they doing, has their journey. As you heard with Felix, right? He started one company, kind of learned this, started another company, learned this, and then it has morphed into what he is presenting today. So this is it's a journey. And I think it's really great to hear about some of the common threads as entrepreneurs are trying things and learning so much what they can build. Again, we are streaming out of the Comcast Business Startup Studio located at 2112, Chicago's first film, music, and tech incubator. Thank you to Comcast Business and Shore for providing the tools necessary to make our programming possible. Visit cceglobal.org to register for free workshops offered by our partners. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, and tune in next Thursday for another episode of Global Industry Spotlight in person, where we'll have Pixie Wayand, founder of Feed Music. She has flown all the way from Australia to come and set up shop here in Chicago while she is building her company, Feed Music. It's an online tool that connects artists to their favorite businesses to reduce pressure, whether it's food, transport, or other services, and help them on their way. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful rest of the week. Take care. Take care of yourselves. Listen to good music, and we will speak with you soon. Bye.